on what Jeff said, do you think the president should be explaining this policy and out there selling it more? Because, I mean, it is a big idea about remaking the American economy and bringing manufacturing jobs to the United States. And I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how turbulent it's going to get. I think there needs to be a little bit more, at the very least, explanation, don't you?
Well, Jake, he's been out there since he was campaigning. He was telling everybody exactly what he's going to do. In fact, if you want to, you can go all the way back to when he was in office the first time. This is just picking up where he left off. He's made it very, very clear. We've got to reset the trade imbalance that is happening inside the United States. We've allowed countries to take advantage of our economy. They have become rich. They have sucked trillions of dollars out of our economy. And we've lost manufacturing jobs. We're no longer a leader in manufacturing anymore. We're allowing them to leave the country, set up manufacturing companies in a different country, and then sell the product back to us. And truthfully, these countries, they need access to our economy more than we need access to theirs. You've already seen Cambodia, you've already seen Vietnam, you've already seen Israel, and the United Kingdom now is saying they want to negotiate. And the president is open at making a deal. He's always been about reciprocal tariffs and equal access to the economy.
Israel dropped all tariffs on the United States before Liberation Day and still got slammed with tariffs.
But I said access to their economy too. Mind you, Japan has 0% tariffs on United States automakers selling their products inside Japan, but yet they can't actually sell because they don't have equal access to their economy. So Israel, they dropped the tariffs, but there is still a large barrier because of the way their government is set up and the way the regulations set for us to actually be able to sell their goods in there at a competitive price.
So you said that President Trump's trying to even the playing field, and obviously that's a great goal, level playing field. Today, instead of removing its tariffs, China announced a 34% tariff increase on U.S. goods coming into China. That's matching what President Trump calls reciprocal tariff. Trump's 34%. Isn't there also the risk that this is just going to make the playing field even more uneven?
Well, no, let's think about that. Over 40% of the manufacturing goods that are produced in China are sold back to the United States. We're not even close to having the same amount. So they have 40% of their manufacturing jobs dependent on our economy. They need to sell their products inside the United States much more than we do. This is why they set up the Belt and Road Initiative years ago, because they wanted to limit their dependency inside the United States. We can walk down the Belt and Road Initiative forever and understand why that's a hard line for China to even make. But the truth is, they need us more than we need them.
Listen to something your Republican colleague, Senator Ted Cruz, from just down south of Oklahoma and Texas.
They're still trying to figure out how to play football in Texas.
Well, that's another day. Listen to what he posted today.
If we're in a scenario 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, with massive American tariffs and massive tariffs on American goods in every other country on earth, that is a terrible outcome.
So he's talking about 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. What do you think? Do you agree?
I don't think we're going to be 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months down the road. I think we're experiencing very short-term pain for a long-term gain. President Trump is not interested in making political decisions. He's interested in understanding that we're wanting to set up our economy for the future. We have continued to gain bigger deficits and trade deficits with different countries around the world. If we're ever going to right the ship, if we're ever going to take care of it, this is the time to do it. And President Trump is just the president to do it because he's a business guy leading from the Oval Office, not a politician. Someone had to eventually take this bull by the horns and change the direction we're going. And President Trump is willing to do that, and he's going to do that. We're not going to be talking about this in 90 days. What we're going to be talking about in 90 days is how many manufacturing jobs are coming back to the United States. We're going to be talking about access to new markets for manufacturers that are here. And we're going to talk about reciprocal, fair, and trade balance with our allies across the world in our economy.
You know, it's not just Democrats criticizing the president on this. It's not just economists. It's a lot of conservatives. Take a listen to Ben Shapiro.
It is a tax paid for by Americans. So this is a massive tax increase on American consumers. That's what it is. And it is designed to be so.
I mean, I've heard it described by economists who generally support Trump
right,
as the biggest tax increase since 1968.
Well, if I'm going to be following somebody, I'm going to be following a guy that's been very successful in business and knows exactly what's going on. He's been talking about this since 2015, about the way that the U.S. is unfairly treated and the way we allow people to take advantage of us. And he knows, because he's been in business. He's been in the retail business. He understands he understands tariffs better than any president we've ever had, and I would say any politician that we've ever had elected to office. This is the time and this is the place to figure this out and fix it now.
According to the Oklahoma Department of Commerce, your state's top 3 export customers are Canada, Mexico, and Germany. That accounts for a combined total of more than $3 billion. And while most of us probably think of Oklahoma maybe producing farm products, nuclear reactors, industrial machinery, and parts among the state's top exports, I'm sure you have some nervous constituents calling you, people who support President Trump, voted for President Trump, but they're saying, oh my God, what's going on? What are you telling them?
You'd be surprised. You remember all 77 counties voted for President Trump all 3 times. They support President Trump and they understand what a business investment is. When you invest in a business, sometimes you take a little bit of gain and a little bit of risk to have long-term success. We're willing to do that. Now, have I heard from some people that just want to have clarity on what the end goal is? Absolutely. Have I heard from business leaders around the state that are upset? Absolutely not. They support what's trying to happen here. We're big in the aerospace industry. Canada has been taking advantage of us. We have literally had businesses lose their business in Oklahoma and have to go set up in Canada because the trade differences have taken place. We're going to right the ship and allow those companies to come back to Oklahoma and build their products.
So the reason that we're lucky enough to have you here in studio on a Friday is when you normally would be back in Oklahoma is the Senate's working on a budget resolution.
Right.
There are calls to use the $600 billion or so that the Trump team claims these tariffs will raise to generate every year. There are calls to use that $600 billion to pay for more tax cuts. What do you say to that?
Well, we're not looking at doing more tax cuts. We're looking at extending current policy.
Extending the Trump tax cuts.
Current policy right now expires at the end of this year. And if it expires, Jake, we're going to see a $4 trillion tax increase on every American, regardless of what tax bracket you're in, on every American. What we're saying is, let's extend the tax policy that President Trump put in 2018 and make it permanent. Why would we want it to expire right now? Why would we want to increase taxes on American people right now? That is not the right plan, and we don't want to do that. And so the budget doesn't do that. The budget gives us an opportunity to get to reconciliation that does make that happen. Remember, this is a 2-step process.
Right.
We got to pass a budget first before we can get to reconciliation, to get the cuts that DOJ is doing, to get the waste and fraud out of the American government, and to make these tax policies permanent.
All right, Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullin from Oklahoma, thanks so much. It's good.
Thanks for having me on.